what do they call the big things? God, my brain is not working. Um, at the airports, the flight folks. Yeah, Airplane, by the way, is one of my favorite movies. Shirley, that is true, and my name's not Shirley, etc. Blah blah blah. Tower, yeah. Oh, maybe Walmart. We're gonna have, they'll come over the the flight thing, and after they're talking about the safety rules and protocols, they'll say, by the way, this flight is being brought to you by Walmart. Our plane is being guided by Walmart folks who couldn't get jobs being Walmart greeters, but they are directing traffic. You know those? It's sort of a trend now. The folks who work at in the planes, the flight attendants, they all try to say something funny now, because that's all the rage. You can't just sort of just go through the motions. And there's some practical effect for that. I mean, it's sort of, folks are scared of flying. Laughter sort of helps out a little bit, but it's just sort of funny when they're not funny, when they try to be funny, but they're not funny at all. And I find that funny. Okay, so rhetorical package advocacy plan. YouTube narrative speech of inspiration. Okay, so you are going to need to get a YouTube account, or you can just email it to me. But I want this to be on YouTube. If you want to make it private, you can. But the idea here is, once you got your topic, whatever your topic is, you're going to give a little mini speech. But it's not going to be in a classroom. It's going to be like what I'm doing right now. You're going to use your smartphone or your smart pad, whatever you guys have. And I'm sure that pretty much all of you do have something like that. If not, please let me know and we'll figure something out. But usually the little videos, little speeches on YouTube are very storytelling and trying to inspire people to do something, to make a change, whether it's, ooh, here's something else. 2 of the men behind Saturday's London terror attack named by police. Okay. They're from Barking. But in any case, so you'll be giving like a little speech on YouTube trying to inspire people to support your cause. That's pretty much it, and I'll talk more about that later. And then what you're going to be doing is writing a letter to the editor for some sort of periodical, again, using the strategies that our book and offers us, and some things that I will be bringing in from other books to try to encourage readers to support whatever it is that you are calling for. And by the way, I'm going back to old school grading system, so take a look at the grading scale here. But again, so tweets, 15 over 4 weeks. The forums, 2 responses to me, 2 responses to somebody else, or 1 response to 2 different people per week. Your everyday activism journal, 1 per week. Your big old plan, your YouTube speech, and your letter. That's it. No exams, no quizzes. Another thing with online stuff, a lot of people do online exams and stuff like that that are timed, blah blah blah. I hate those, because sometimes the technology screws up, something's going to go awry, so in any case, you're sort of on your own. I will see that you are learning stuff through the implementation of things, not through exams. And looking at the grading scale, interpretation of your grades, and blah blah blah. There's a thing on special notes on credit hours. Just take a look at this. I want to give you a really good education, but I believe in a quality education, not a quantity education. And I'm going to try to do this generally the same way that I would be doing this if we or giving you the same amount of information, sort of, kind of, if this was a semester-long regular face-to-face class. But it's to have the same amount of contact is just sort of crazy. So I'll let you read that, but just know that part of what I do in the syllabus, and I don't think this is required anymore. Maybe it is. Who knows? But because all of this is out of class, you just need to know how are we going to meet the time that we're supposed to be spending with one another. And so again, part of that is you watching these excellent lectures. Some of them is tweeting, reflecting in your emails, with the journal type stuff. Again, I'm saying you can email me the journals, the threads, all that type of stuff. Okay. More on information. Mahatma Gandhi, you must be the change you want to see in the world. That's part of the everyday activism. Okay, so the context for all of the big assignments. Coming at you. So, it's all about rhetorical theory and praxis in part. Again, rhetoric is not a dirty word. It basically just means theories and ideas about how to persuade and influence people. But I want you to learn how to be an activist in the 21st century. And to do that, what we need to do is to think about being practical in our 4 weeks when it comes to a topic. But the big thing you need to do, the very first big thing that you have to do, is to come up with a topic. And that topic, basically for the everything in the class per se, is a cause, something that you would like to see changed. The book actually goes through all these in some place in here, and actually the preface, or the foreword, or the backwards, something like that. I think it's the introduction, actually. It talks about all the ills of the world. Because, in this class, we've got a license to ill, but we're going to change that ill. We're going to kill the ill. So it talks about economic inequality. So, there's a lot of folks in the United States who live in poverty, a lot of children. But you cannot tackle poverty in 4 weeks. Is there something that you could do about income inequality with some of the assignments, and some sort of specific idea? I don't know, it's up to you. It talks about war and the military-industrial complex. Actually, Eisenhower came up with that term. Is there something that you want to do to give peace a chance, as sort of hokey as that sounds? I don't know, but it's got to be something very, very specific. Has maybe issues of gun violence, non-human animals and the environment. This is where they talk about chickens. Did you know 90,000 cows and calves are killed every 24 hours in the United States for food consumption? Another 14,000 chickens are killed every minute. I like chicken. It's one of those things. I live pretty close to the Columbia Farms. I live over in Casey, and every once in a while I'll see the big old trucks with the chickens, and it makes me sad. But then I go home and eat chicken. But in any case, there's a lot of stuff in there about that type of stuff. Rape and sexual assault, as you well know, is very, very problematic. Is there something very specific that you could do to try to maybe change some laws and do something? It talks about sweatshops and modern-day slavery as part of the ills of the world. So we got all this stuff about, this is on page 8. The world is filled with grim realities of racism, sexism, classism, ableism, homophobia, and transphobia, of climate change, of speciesism. Speciesism, I think, is just the idea that humans are better than other species. And environmental destruction, war, imperialism, colonialism, dictatorialism, is that a word? Job discrimination, worker exploitation, child labor, abuse, neglect, random violence. But all is not lost, as good people rise every day to fight for social justice. Activists and social movements play integral roles in correcting social ills. Yeah, so it talks about all these different movements. So, but, you got to pick a topic. What's something that you care about? But for the sake of all this, you got to be practical. Take, inch by inch, it is a cinch. So, so once you pick a topic, obviously this is not like a COM 100 or advanced public speaking where I demand like a certain number of sources, but you need to start doing research very quickly given that topic. You got to learn about it. You got to know the ins and outs about that. What are the, maybe, hey, I want to change some gun laws or something. Okay, what are the gun laws? What are they here federally? What are they here in South Carolina? What's going on? Oh, I want to change this or that policy. What is the policy? Why is that policy the policy? And so you got to do your research, even as, because of the nature of this course, it's a 300-level course, I'm not asking you to give me specific sources. I just want you to do your research and do it well. So you pick a topic, you do research, and then you are going to be crafting, this is sort of the big plan, your plan, using what we call the rhetorical package. And the rhetorical package is basically answers to very simple rhetorical questions. Who is my audience? Reopening my back end. What is my message? Who is my audience? What is my rhetorical strategy? We'll talk about lots of rhetorical strategies here. What is my goal? And then what's the situation? So I have an example here. This is on page 7 here on the syllabus. Message: Walmart destroys small-town rural communities and airplanes. Okay, so there's lots of evidence that Walmart comes in and kills old school mom and pop stores. So that's your message. Who's your audience? You got average middle class Americans from the burbs. So what are you going to do? Rhetorical strategy. I think I'm going to use personal narratives, small town business owners who lost their livelihood, to evoke emotional sentiments from my audience. Goal: I want my audience to take action against Walmart, and whatever action that might be. Maybe it's not shopping at Walmart. Situation: a teach-in at a local library. A teach-in is sort of like a sit-in. They call it a teach-in because basically it's just like a lecture on how to do such and such. So you would advertise for, teach-in or information about the new Walmart coming into whatever, and then talk about it. Now, the rhetorical package necessarily must change, or your answers must necessarily change when the context or the situation changes. And so, generally speaking, we oftentimes consider 4 different avenues of advocacy if we're trying to put together some sort of campaign. We think about oral discourse, speech, or other forms of oral discourse, chants. We think about written discourse, sort of old-fashioned writing. We think about using social media in some savvy way, and obviously some of these blur into one another. And then we think about what some people call body rhetoric, and that is how you particularly use your body in some sort of way to advocate for this or that cause. Sit-ins, marches, protests, wearing certain things, not wearing certain things, all that is, these are 4 different mediums. And so what I'm going to ask you to do for the big plan is to, once you pick your topic, once you do your research, have sort of a written out outline type thing for each of these avenues of advocacy.